Hey friend, before we get back into the episode, I want to offer you something that might deeply support you right now. If you've been feeling stretched thin, if you're carrying that familiar fundraising anxiety, or if you're craving a moment to step out of the pressure and reconnect to yourself, I'd love to invite you into a brave and balanced breakthrough session. This is a live one-on-one coaching session tailored specifically to you. As a certified coach and former fundraiser, I work with you beneath the level of surface level mindset tools into the somatic and emotional patterns that shape how you show up, what you believe is possible, and ultimately the results you create. Most fundraisers walk away from this session feeling clearer, steadier, and more able to raise money with ease and freedom. Not because they changed their strategy, but because they got out of their own way and reconnected to their internal source of strength. Right now, this session is $97, and the price will be going up in the coming months. So if you've been thinking, I should do this at some point, let this be your gentle nudge to take action. You can book your session through the link in the show notes, and if something in you feels pulled toward this, trust it. That inner tug is your wisdom speaking. All right, let's get back into the episode. Welcome to the Brave and Balanced Fundraiser, the podcast I wish I'd had during my 15 years as a professional fundraiser. I'm your host, Erin McQuaid-Wright. This is your space to breathe, realign, and reconnect with the part of you that chose this work for a reason. Together, we'll explore tools and practices that help you show up less stressed and spread thin, and more grounded, brave, and on purpose. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. Today, we're talking about something that rarely gets named in nonprofit fundraising, but it quietly shapes everything: your come from energy. Are you approaching donor conversations from scarcity or from abundance? Even when we have all the right words, strategies, and materials in place, our nervous system is broadcasting what's happening under the surface. And if we're anxious, frantic, or trying to prove our worth, the people across from us can feel it, often without knowing why. In this episode, we'll explore how scarcity patterns form, how they show up in fundraising culture and donor relationships, and most importantly, what you can do today to shift into a calmer, more grounded, and more effective way of asking. So let's get into it. Today, we're exploring the come from energy of fundraising. The come from. What is your come from when you fundraise? Are you coming from scarcity or abundance? And this matters because even when we've got it all together on the outside, our nervous system is broadcasting what's happening on the inside. If we're in an inner state of anxiety or dysregulation, those around us can feel it on a subconscious level. And if you're talking to a potential donor, you lower the odds that they will give when your energy is frantic or needy. So if you've ever said to yourself, this is not a dangerous situation, it's a friendly conversation about their annual gift or their pledge to our endowment, so why is my heart beating so fast and I'm sweating? This episode is really going to help you, and it's going to give you solutions that you can try out immediately. Here's a question. When is the first time you remember feeling scarcity? Maybe you asked your parent for money and got a no, or maybe you wanted that cereal with the really fun box, but the boring box made it into the cart instead. Womp womp. Being told no isn't fun, but it's an important part of life to learn what to do with a no. So did you take those early no's to mean something about you? Like, if I was better behaved, they would say yes. By the way, that's normal. Kids don't have much control over their lives, so they work to make sense out of confusing situations, and sometimes that means they connect their self-worth with their performance. But fast forward to today, and you still may be performing your tushy off to get your needs met, or appeasing those around you to keep things friendly in your environment so therefore you will feel okay. And when you've got a scarcity pattern like that running in the background of your awareness, that pattern is actually running you, and it's preventing you from doing your best fundraising. When I was a professional fundraiser, I once observed a pattern that showed up across the culture of the organization I worked for. And it went like this. We love our donors so much. We respect our donors' time so much. We respect our donors' privacy so much that we only reach out to them once a year to ask for a gift. And even then, we feel like we're bothering them. So let me ask you, how would you feel if you were a donor in this scenario? Would you feel valued, like your contribution matters? Or would you feel like, they don't really need me here. I'd rather give elsewhere? In the case of this story, there was an unspoken scarcity belief at play that sounded like, asking for money is always an annoyance to the person asked to give, so it's better not to ask, or ask as little as possible. And this belief showed up when it came to hosting events, cultivating donors for future gifts. It even made the annual fundraising appeal letter really stiff and formal. But here's the truth. An organizational culture like the one I'm describing is based on a belief it's not safe to mess up. Or, said another way, safety is scarce here. In that organizational culture, making a mistake carries heavy consequences. So people hedge their bets and they don't take as many risks. They pull inward and withdraw from donor interactions and maybe even staff interactions. Or they feel stilted if they're at the table, afraid to say the wrong thing to the donor, afraid to say the wrong thing in front of their boss. It's just rigid and it sort of pulls inward. And when we're in this state, it leads our nervous system to flood the body with stress hormones so it can be ready to fight or flee. And meanwhile, where's the donor in all this? Well, they're probably forgotten and left behind and looking for an organization where they can really feel the value of their contribution. And like that's a warm place that is enveloping them with an open heart. So how can we shift this dynamic? Well, there's a really important point here that deserves a lot of emphasis. We can only shift our own dynamic, not the whole culture. And that's actually really good news because have you ever tried to change the culture of an organization? I unfortunately have, back when I didn't know any better. And it's just like Peter Drucker famously said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So the culture wins no matter how good the strategy is that you're trying to implement. So we can't change the culture, but we do have the power over how we show up. And in the scenarios that I painted in this episode, I was not blameless. I participated in that culture. I merged with that culture. And I felt unsafe to take a big risk or take a chance. And I found that my risk level went way down. My actions went down. My interactions with donors went down. This is how I know to offer you this story because I've experienced it personally and I've contributed to it. So we have the power over how we show up. And if we take a closer look at that pattern of scarcity, that's a great place to start. And one practice that I recommend is a scarcity patterning journal. You can keep a notebook or a few pieces of paper by your bedside for 30 days. And each night before going to sleep, you can write for 60 seconds about how and when scarcity showed up in your words or actions that day. When we see the pattern, it stops running us from the background and we can choose to show up more intentionally. You can start to notice, what does my body feel like when I'm in scarcity mode? Is it a clenched jaw or belly, a tightness in the chest? What are the signals your body is sending? It's just feedback for you to have, and you get to choose whether this is how you want to feel or not. And if you want more abundance, you can start with the body. Before you enter a donor conversation, take a few deep breaths and go with your internal awareness to those places, the jaw, the brow, the belly, the chest. And you can intentionally, on exhale, soften them. That is within your control. And from that place where you've got a soft belly, a soft brow that's no longer furrowed, and a relaxed jaw, I want you to think of the ways that abundance is already here in your awareness. Maybe it's in the form of sunshine, or depending on your climate, maybe it's in the form of clouds or rain, an abundance of birds or plants, or an abundance of rocks or even grains of sand. Simply noticing the abundance that's already here causes it to grow in your awareness, and more abundance will come and reveal itself to you from there. So what I really want to leave you with from this conversation is this: your worthiness is not tied to the dollars you're raising or haven't yet raised. Your worthiness is inherent. You're a human on this planet, so boom, you're worthy, full stop. And when you start to disconnect your worthiness from your results in fundraising, you shift from trying to do all the things to doing what's actually going to move the needle for you. I hope this has been helpful to you, and I'd love to know how you did with this practice. So come and join us in the Brave and Balanced Fundraiser Facebook group and share your experience there. And it's a place where we really are there to support each other in this work without judgment and with an abundance of open-heartedness and love. I hope to see you soon. Before we wrap up, here are a few things I want you to take from today's episode. Number 1, your donors don't just hear your words, they feel your nervous system. Number 2, scarcity isn't a personal failing, it's a learned pattern that can be interrupted. Number 3, you can't change your organization's culture, but you can change how you show up inside of it. Number 4, regulating your body before an ask increases clarity, creativity, and connection. Number 5, your worth is inherent. It has nothing to do with how much you raised or didn't. If this episode resonated, I'd love to hear how these practices land for you. You can send me a DM on Instagram at Erin McQuaid-Wright, or come join us in the Brave and Balanced Fundraiser Facebook group, where we support each other in doing this work with courage, compassion, and abundance. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time.